It's Ryan Pacyga, and I thought it'd be a good time to talk about how to avoid a domestic assault charge or some other things that can happen while we're all under this self-quarantine situation with the coronavirus going on. So you can imagine the recipe is just kind of ripe, I think, for some domestic violence situations to occur. And before we go into why that is, I want to let people know that there's two ways to be charged with or accused of a domestic assault in Minnesota. The first is obviously by causing harm to somebody, bodily harm to a family or household member. So that's anybody that lives in your home with you or that is related by blood or a relationship of some sort, whether it's family relationship, step relatives or anything like that if they're living in your home as well, or people you've had a significant romantic relationship with. So it covers a lot of different people. That's the domestic part of it. So one way, of course, is to cause harm to somebody, bodily harm. That could be a slap, that could be a punch, that could be a kick, that could be a shove, you name it. The other way, though, is to cause fear of bodily harm, and that surprises a lot of people. So that you don't even have to put your finger on someone to be charged with or found guilty of a domestic assault in Minnesota if you cause them fear of immediate bodily harm or death. That's what a domestic assault can be as well. And so sometimes people are surprised to learn that. And oftentimes these calls will happen where either somebody calls 911 from in the house because they're worried about something or something's just happened, or a neighbor or somebody else in the house that's a witness maybe calls 911. So one of the children calls 911 or a neighbor next door can hear yelling or something and they call 911. And law enforcement will get there and separate the two people that are involved and ask them a number of questions. So this recipe right now, people need, I think, to take a little more precaution to deal with their emotions in these situations for a variety of reasons. One, people are going to be stressed out. Some people are laid off of work. Some people aren't making as much money even if they are working as they normally were. More people are in the home at the same time. Kids are getting homeschooled or distance learning. Both spouses or significant others may be home at the same time. And then, of course, some people are going to be drinking at home because they're working from home and their hours are limited, or they figure they don't have much else to do, or they can get away with having a few drinks even if potentially, I guess, if they're working at a computer or something. So you mix alcohol into it, you put in the stressors of unfamiliar situations. People aren't used to teaching kids how to learn at home, a whole bunch of things like that. Everyone's out of their comfort zone right now. And as a result, tensions can boil over. And that's where times can happen where somebody who typically would never behave like that all of a sudden finds themselves being hauled off to jail and accused of a domestic assault. And let me tell you something. Although police may be making less arrests right now, domestic assaults are situations where I think they're going to continue to make arrests right now, because one of the things they're taught to do or required to do by departmental policy is separate the two members that are accused of this, and whoever's going to be accused is the one obviously that's taken out of the home, and they're brought to jail often, and then they're given a no contact order, a domestic abuse no contact order, so that they can't even have phone or physical contact with whoever they allegedly just assaulted. So you're not even able to return to your own home, despite the fact that you guys have kids there. Maybe your significant other calls later and says, I just wanted the police to come and tell them to stop it or her to stop it, and they got arrested and I didn't want that. Well, it's too little too late often. So then you got to hire a lawyer to defend you, and we can help people in those situations, and we will if that happens. However, my goal here is not to drum up business for domestic assault cases, but rather to tell you how not to even get in the situation so that you don't have to spend the money on a lawyer, or you don't find yourself being accused of a crime, dealing with problems with your employer, a no contact order, which will really throw your family in a loop, especially during these times where we all need to lean on each other more. So my advice is this: if you start to feel tensions boil over, there are a few people in the world who can get under your skin as much as maybe a significant other. Family members know you well. Your siblings, if you grew up with them, they know you well. They know how to push your buttons, and so can domestic partners, of course. So in these situations, right, people are going to get on each other's nerves. That's part of the deal. And if that happens, just take a breath and walk away. That's my advice. Don't sit there and continue in the verbal argument. Don't push them back, their buttons back, or anything like that. Just take a breath and go for a walk. You're allowed to do that even under the governor's self-containment order, for lack of a better term right now. So go ahead and take a walk. If you've had some drinks, do not go into your vehicle to stay warm or throw on music or whatever, because you can get a DWI in your vehicle even if you don't start the car. If you're sitting in the driver's seat and you've got your keys on you and you don't intend to drive it anywhere, you're just going to sit in the car and cool off emotionally or whatever. If you're in that driver's seat, or theoretically maybe even in the passenger seat, it depends on the officer, they could try to charge you with a DWI for being in physical control of the vehicle. So if you have to go sit in your vehicle because you got nowhere to walk, don't bring your keys with you. Do not have your keys with you. I don't mean don't put them in the ignition. I mean don't have them in your pocket even. Don't have them on your person. Don't put them in the console. Leave them in the house. But better yet, don't even get into the vehicle if you had any drinks. Just go for a walk. And if your significant other or whoever is trying to call 911, even if you say, wait a minute, let's just talk about this, don't grab the phone from them. If you do that, that's interference with a 911 call that you can be charged with as well, which is a gross misdemeanor, which is actually more serious in many cases than a first-time domestic assault. So these are ways that trouble can happen. And again, my goal is to just let you know about it, and remember, calmer heads prevail. Go for a walk. Cool down, don't engage, and I think that'll help people during these tough times as well. Hopefully you don't find yourself in that situation, but we see, I've been doing this for 17 years, and I see situations happen to people where their family members and friends and my clients are even telling me, I'm never like that. I don't know what happened, or it's out of character for me or whatever. But again, we're here to protect people accused of crimes and help them and serve those needs. But if you don't have to spend the money on a lawyer and go through a night or two in jail and have to try to get a lawyer to undo a no contact order when you're dealing with something in court, you're all the better for it. So I hope you find that useful. If you have any questions about this video, please just post them underneath and I'll make sure I get back to you. My name is Ryan Pacyga. You can find me at arrestedminnesota.com. That's arrestedmn.com, or give us a call at 612-339-5844. Stay safe.